What it do, YouTube? We back with another video. It's your favorite YouTube channel, your favorite YouTube boys, the Retro Bros. And we're back with another banger of a video now. Last week, we covered ECW December to December.
December 10th. Yeah.
And
Trash.
yeah, just throw that in the garbage. This week, folks, we are reviewing Armageddon 2002. And Frank said here, it was a one match show, really. That's not
I
true.
never
It
said one match show. I just said I wasn't crazy about it. It was an okay show, but
was.
overall, this was tied for with No Way Out as my least favorite show of '02.
My friend
And
too.
I enjoy it. It wasn't horrible by any means, but it wasn't great. I'll say that.
It's a package. Mom, please don't call me and ask me to get the package right now because I can't. Sorry. Um, yeah, no, this show was fantastic. I like the show a lot. There were a couple of great matches, and even the bad matches weren't that bad. So,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
before we begin, hey, if you're new to this channel, do your boys a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when we upload new content. We upload new content weekly. It's the week of Christmas, and we're still uploading. Do all that.
We might if you can we might upload a couple this week if
Yeah,
you can.
I'm
Yeah,
down.
all right, yeah, no doubt.
Later in this stream, we're gonna pop into somebody else's stream, so be on the lookout for that special guest. But without further ado, not a new, further ado, pop open a Pepsi like that. Cheers. Let's get this show started. Frank, take it away. This is your
All
show.
right. So I love the way they opened it. The opener was a video package. WWE back in that day always killed it with the opening pay-per-view video packages. They had Freddie Blassie open the pay-per-view with the end is here. You know, the end theme song of most of the Armageddons, they use that song for. And yeah, just another great video package. Rest in peace to Freddie Blassie, of course. And this was a really good way to start the show. The opening match here, World Tag Titles, Fatal Four Way. Chris Jericho and Christian taking on Booker T and Goldust, and the Dudley Boys and Lance Storm and William Regal. Really,
Tell the
what?
people where you're at and how many people are in attendance and give them all that stuff.
I don't do that. You do that. I don't care about that shit. That's what you do.
So before we get into the four-way tag title match, they are live at the Office Depot Center in Sunrise, Florida. 9,000 people were in attendance, and the Bible was 35,000 or 335,000. So there you go. Okay, on to this tag team match, four-way tag match.
Right, so Booker T and Goldust had a phenomenal year. One of the better tag teams of '02. They were really entertaining, and from about what do they start like in the summer of '02, and it went all the way up to like early '03. They broke up when Booker was going for the match with Triple H. I think they broke up around that time or something. But yeah, so
I think what happened was Triple H and Flair
yeah,
threw Goldust into the electric, made him go.
that was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
Great. And
I
then
think they broke up around that same time too. I'm not 100% sure though.
you think what?
I think they broke up too around that time, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if they broke up, but I think they kind of went their separate ways.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. They just stopped tagging.
Yeah, well, Booker was.
They never had a breakup angle, but they split.
Goldust was written off TV for a while after that electric thing. So then the team went for Triple H. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
There was no that Goldust or anything like that. No.
Yeah. So this was a fun match, and it was about time they put the tag belts on Booker and Goldust. So great way to open the show. Nice little underdog moment. Booker T and Goldust get the belts. And speaking of them breaking up, the storyline behind this match was, Goldust wasn't getting it done. He was losing matches for the team. So So he was ready to break the team up right there. He was like, "I'm done. I'm holding you down essentially. So I don't
Right.
want to do that no more." And Booker T was like, "Nah, man, we're going for the tag belts. We're a great team. We're gonna get this done."
Yeah.
And of course, here in this match, they did. And of course, uh, Dave Meltzer is changing the game. A great match is no longer about working the crowd. It's actually about working the ropes, as Dave Meltzer calls it, rope work. The what makes a great match now is no longer making the crowd believe your match. It's all about making the ropes believe it. And I truly believe that in this match, all four tag teams, that is, were truly making the ropes believe what they were watching. So phenomenal rope work. Just a tremendous match here, man. As you know, Meltzer's changing the game. It's all about rope work now. It's not about working the crowd. It's about working the ropes.
It
These
also,
guys,
it didn't happen in the Tokyo Dome. It's not 5 stars. Sorry.
I don't know, man. That is true, but they did a phenomenal job of making the ropes believe what they were seeing. So I think that they
Yeah,
deserve
Japan did it.
some love. Yeah. All right. So after that great moment, they win the tag belts. Then Jonathan Coachman interviewed them. Uh, Oh yeah, and Booker T in that interview let Goldust know you're not the weak link of this team, bro. Especially not anymore. We're the champs now. There is no weak link. Good little post match interview there.
Yep.
And then we get a video of Josh Matthews interviewing Brock Lesnar, asking if he's going to be in Kurt Angle's corner. Brock did not answer that, of course. The storyline behind the Kurt Angle Big Show title match, we kind of covered a little bit of the storyline building up to that when we reviewed the '02 SmackDown Thanksgiving.
And Vengeance
Paul
3.
Heyman and what?
And Vengeance 2003.
No, not that. That's way later in the year. That storyline doesn't have to do with this. But
Oh,
Kurt Angle Big Show. The storyline behind this match was what's his name? Heyman turned on Brock at Survivor, and then so Kurt Angle, since he knows Brock Lesnar wants to get his hands on Paul Heyman, he's like, hey, be in my corner, And of course, Brock was suspended. He was suspended because he was trying to attack Big Show and Paul Heyman. And of course, on that '02 Thanksgiving SmackDown, Stephanie was being a bit of a heel. What?
Aunt Flo came and saw Stephanie.
Yeah, and Flo. Yeah, what a great segment that was too. Brother Kurt Angle not understanding what she meant by Aunt Flo. But yeah, so Stephanie suspends Brock, and Kurt's like, I'll get your suspension lifted as long as you're in my corner at Armageddon. So that's essentially what was going on there with that interview. Just Josh Matthews trying to figure out, is he going to be in the corner? Next, man, A-Train versus Edge. Oh boy. So I learned something. I learned something earlier this week, or maybe last week, when I listened to the Something to Wrestle With episode of this. This was originally supposed to be Matt Hardy versus Edge.
Yeah, I think I heard something
This
about
match would have been so much better. A-Train should have got built up a little bit before, have him wrestle on SmackDown, have the crowd get used to him, because it's not like he was in the picture a lot leading up to this show, and you just throw him on a pay-per-view because all of a sudden, which I get why you're interested in making A-Train. He's a big dude. He could be a star. I totally understand that. But you can't just be like, oh, let's start trying to build this guy up and then just throw him on a pay-per-view right away.
Yeah, I get
And the crowd had absolutely no interest in this match whatsoever. I did not find anything interesting in this match. And if it was Matt Hardy versus Edge, I think it would have been great.
I didn't mind
And
this
you
match.
could have did.
It
Okay.
ended in disqualification, but I mean, aside from that,
Yeah, That's not my issue. I don't care if a match ends in disqualification. Usually, for a match to end in disqualification, there's a reason you're trying to build, maybe continue the feud, which they didn't really do here. But that's not my problem with the match. The match, first of all, should not have been on this show. Disqualification is fine if you're looking to, which they didn't even continue this feud as far as I remember. But yeah, the build up to the match was A-Train attacked Edge after a match that they had, I think, no, it was a match on SmackDown that was supposed to happen, I think. And A-Train ran in, attacked Edge when he was doing his, middle rope celebration, and then like laid him on the turnbuckle and smacked his leg with a steel chair. Still could have had Matt Hardy do that. There's no problem with that. They could have built up Hardy versus Edge the same way, but yeah, they jumped the gun with A-Train here. You build them up for a couple weeks, then you put him on a pay-per-view. I don't agree with just hot-shotting him to Armageddon when he hasn't really been a big part of SmackDown at this point.
I think with A-Train, he had been in 02, right? This is 02. He had been in WWE for 3 years at this point.
Oh, he has, no doubt. But at this point,
I think the thought process for going with this match was, if we're going to get anything out of him, let's do it now while we still have his best years. And
I get that, but in my opinion, if you want to do that, you gotta start featuring him on SmackDown more, a little more, because they just hot shotted him to the pay-per-view when at this point he was an afterthought on SmackDown.
Yep.
That's my problem with this match, and the crowd seemed to have the same feeling. They were not interested in A-Train at this point.
Next match, or was there a segment?
I believe we go right into the match. My phone just cut out, but yeah, I saw that right before it cut out. I saw the next match. We go right to the next match. Is Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. They started the match with chain wrestling, and the crowd really didn't want to see this. You got a little bit of a boring chant from the crowd.
Yeah, that's how you start off matches. You start off matches with the chain wrestling. Hey, hold on. You start the match off slow. Then you build.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm not saying this was a bad match. I'm just saying the crowd didn't want to see it. That night, the crowd didn't want to see it.
That's something.
Not everybody cares about chain wrestling.
I understand, but and that's something that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega kind of need to learn: is start slow, build. And I'm not saying necessarily start with chain wrestling, but start slow. Do the drop down tackle thing. Do that. Then you build up for the high risk moves and the high impact stuff. But don't start off with the high impact stuff.
How's about this? Hang on. How's about this? How's about we take out the high risk stuff anyway? Because it's freaking played out nowadays. It's ridiculous. How's about we actually look at building storylines like we were doing at this point in 2002? Television storylines, and we actually take away guys who are all just flip-flop and fly type of guys, and we actually bring back some larger than life stars.
Yes,
that's the way we should be doing it.
Hey, your high flyers were Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat, and how many high flying moves did they do? Exactly.
And Randy Savage was a star. He was a larger than life star.
And
Randy Savage would be a 10-time world champ today.
And his credit, Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is great too. I love Ricky Starks. But Ricky Steamboat is also, in his own right, a star.
Maybe. Not a larger than life star, I wouldn't say. Maybe. He's not on Savage's level when we talk about star power. But yeah, he was a star. I will say that.
We're going to get off topic for just a second, but I know we don't talk about AEW on this channel for some reason. We just don't.
I don't watch you. If you're looking to talk to with me, I don't watch it. But you need a new co-host. I mean, you'll need to bring in an AEW correspondent to do AEW shows.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to actually praise AEW here, Frank. I'm going to suggest that you go out of your way to watch this because this was fantastic. It was a promo segment between MJF and Ricky Starks. And, people I see people comparing it to The Rock and Stone Cold. No, it's completely different, but it's still great. It's just not that. But
Right.
in the promo, MJF said that Ricky Starks was like a dollar store Dwayne, made fun of like the city, made fun of the people, and usually with the heels doing that kind of promo on the babyface, they walk away and that's the end of that segment. But this one, Ricky Starks was like, no, you got to say your piece. I'm gonna say mine, and he goes, "You call me a dollar store Rock or a dollar store Dwayne, brother? You're a fifth-rate Roddy Piper. You want to talk about cheap? Everything about you is cheap. The cheap haircut, the cheap cologne, the cheap heat. Oh my god!" And then he was just ripping on this dude, right? And at one point he says, "You don't deserve this." The AEW World Championship. You don't deserve this, but I do. And next week I'm going to take what I deserve. And and then MJF low blowed him, and Ricky came back and hit him with a spear. So even in this segment, the babyface did not just get completely shut down. He was able to get his own. And I just thought that was
I've said before, MJF is, as somebody who doesn't watch as much of the current product today that I do, whenever I watch AEW, MJF is my favorite guy on that show.
great. He's
No
great.
doubt about it. He's charismatic. He's very entertaining. He's a great heel. Whether he's getting cheap heat or not, it works for him. I mean, Mick Foley made a career out of cheap pops. Come on now.
Cheap heat is heat. It doesn't matter if it's cheap or expensive.
Right. It doesn't matter cheap or expensive.
Yeah. Then there was one other thing I wanted to discuss. Vice did a great. I don't know if you watched it.
Yes. The McMahon one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the thing with this documentary was, aside from his childhood and stuff like that, these clips that they were talking about were all dark side of the ring. Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
think about anything new. They just covered his dark side of the ring.
But here's the thing: what is there anything that we don't know about Vince's story? Like, is there really anything we don't know? I don't think that it was to talk about his bad, all the stuff going on that
That's what it was. It was a hit.
True. Yeah. I will say this again. I didn't expect anything like, holy crap, I didn't know that about Vince to come out of this documentary. Yeah. But I could have done without the Dark Side clips. I mean, it's the same network. If Vice should know, if we're watching that, then we all seen Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
There was no need to throw in the clips and the interview stuff from episodes of that.
There was one story that they covered I did not know, and that was about that woman in the 80s that went to his limousine.
See, that I knew about. I knew about that.
I didn't know anything about that. So when she was talking about that, I'm like, oh, wow. So it wouldn't be the first time this year that allegations like that have come out. Wow.
No, this has been going on for a long time with Vince, and I knew about it.
Vince, I'm gonna say my piece on Vince. Vince McMahon at one time was a wrestling genius. He was.
He still is. He's the greatest promoter of all time. If he did what he did, and I don't see why any reason for anybody to lie about this stuff, then in real life he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But you can't deny he's the greatest. He's the greatest promoter of all time.
Yeah.
Ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah, greatest promoter of all time. But over the past, probably I'll say, since 2012, I'll give him 2012. Yeah. The current, he kind of started slipping down a little bit, in my opinion. And
yeah, well, that depends on what you expect from a promoter, because business-wise, they were doing fine.
Yeah, business-wise, they were good, but I mean, like quality-wise,
Yeah,
Quality.
the problem with that is he started bringing in a bunch of guys who were just wrestlers. That's the problem. You know, the star power was going away, and also he didn't have the best writers. That's a big issue too. In the Attitude Era, he had star power like Rock, Austin, Triple H, Undertaker, and he had guys writing for him with Russo and Ferrara. And even after Russo and Ferrara left, they didn't miss a beat when in terms of storylines for a couple of years. But
Yeah,
once star power started to go, and once the storylines, you know, the writers started to go, they weren't able to replace him.
true. Let's get back
And
into
that's
the
a big
show.
issue. Yeah. So like I said, they started off with chain wrestling, and the crowd wasn't for it. But as the match went on, crowd started to get into it, and overall, I would say this was a great match. They got some boring chances. Which again, when you get boring chances, that doesn't kill your match. It doesn't mean that you can't get the crowd back. You know, I look at a match like John Cena and Randy Orton at Royal Rumble 2014. Crowd shit on like the first half of that match, and then as they started going, crowd was getting into it. And that's why I said that's a similar match. Vengeance '04, Randy Orton and Edge. Crowd was kind of not shitting on it the way they were doing Cena and Orton, but the crowd was quiet, and you could hear, just like in this match, you could hear a small portion of the crowd start chanting boring. But Edge and Orton got it going. Same thing. You know, just because there's boring chants in the match doesn't mean the match is dead. You can still get the crowd back into it. Although again, we're looking at this from 2002 standpoint. We're in 2022. This is the year of working the ropes. You know, ropes sadly can't talk, so we don't know if they were into it. But you know, this is Dave Meltzer. It's all about the rope work nowadays. So I
You know,
think the ropes were
all right,
into it.
we're gonna have to start bleeping his name out because I just every time I hear his name, I want to punch him in the face.
The ropes. I think the ropes were into it. You
Let me
know,
say it,
whenever.
let me say that in a better way. You know, every time I hear Dave Meltzer's Dave Meltzer's name, it makes me want to. You know, I won't say he's not a bad. I won't say he's a good guy, but I would say he's a good guy. But I don't know if he's a good guy. So I I like
Well,
the guy, but I don't really like the guy. I mean, Dave seems nice, but he doesn't seem nice. I don't know if I would like him. I might, but I probably wouldn't. But I could like him, but I probably wouldn't. I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
but
That's my
yeah,
Dave.
I will say this. Whenever Benoit and Guerrero hit like a big move, you know, the bump on the mat, the ropes started going up and down. You know, so that tells me the ropes were into it. So great rope work from Benoit and Guerrero.
Yeah,
Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. And we'll move
facts.
on from that. We'll move on from that.
Yep.
Or actually, let's say rest in peace to Nancy and Daniel as well, for
There
that
we
matter.
go.
Actually,
The,
yes.
let's just say to the Benoit family. Is that safe to say?
Well, to me, I think you'd be putting Chris in. That's why I'd rather just say rest in peace,
All right,
Nancy.
there's
And
a Daniel and Nancy. Okay.
yeah,
Next match.
next segment. Next segment. Paul Heyman is in Stephanie McMahon's office looking to complain about Brock Lesnar's suspension being lifted, trying to get Stephanie to say no, his suspension won't be lifted. And of course, it falls on deaf ears. Just a good segment of Paul Heyman just being the heel that he is. Speaking of Paul Heyman, again, I watched I watched because they do video now. I like I said earlier, I watched the something to wrestle with of this show, and Bruce Pritchard dropped some knowledge on about Paul Heyman, man. For the genius that everybody thinks this guy is, and look, when we talk about the character on screen, he's one of the best in my opinion. But everybody acts like this guy's a genius just because he's the brains behind ECW, whatever that's worth. Um, the brains behind ECW, this so-called genius. You see your shirt right there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, throw him up, throw him up.
I can't because see the Spinky doesn't
No,
go.
I got you, I got you, I got you. Paul Heyman, the genius that he is, thought that gimmick was gonna kill John Cena's career. He's gonna kill John Cena's career.
well,
No, 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 no. Hip hop was as big as it can be
hang on,
around this time.
hang on. I can see why at first.
At first, yes.
Yeah, because be honest.
Because he's in the wrestling bubble. Because he's in the wrestling bubble. That's why.
How many people, how many wrestling fans do you think actually listen to hip hop? Okay.
And that's that question is a wrestling bubble question. You ask how many wrestling fans. Well, back in that day, maybe not so much today. WWE wasn't just about getting the wrestling fans. They already got the wrestling fans. We're looking to get new fans. We want casual people watching this show too. That's why they're doing storylines. That's why there's star power. Hip hop was big in the early 2000s. That's why you and I both grew up in the early 2000s, right? You were born 93. I was born 92. We were both teenagers at this time, or maybe close to being teenagers at this time.
And in 02,
what was the cool?
We're 10.
Yep, there you go. So what was the cool music? Were we listening to rock and roll in 2002?
Actually,
hell no. Okay, you were not me.
Well,
not me.
Well, I listened to a little bit of everything. I listened to rap. I listened to boy bands like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. I listened to Bruce and Christina Aguilera. I listened to a lot of stuff, and I'm not.
Let me tell you something.
Any of that?
Let me tell you something. My sister
still listen to it.
My sister loved NSYNC, and so I definitely grew up on a little bit of NSYNC. She had a VHS tape of one of their concerts that I used to watch like all the freaking time. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if she still has it or what, but yeah. So I listened to every different kind of music as well, but 99% of it is hip hop for me. And that was the cool thing in 2002. Not saying that maybe it still is. I don't know. There hasn't been a new wave of music that has come and knocked rap off. You can say it's not as great as it used to be. You can say today's rappers are trash. Rap is still the big thing, man. It's still the cool thing for kids, as far as I know. But I know back then it was. And what was the cool thing? What were hip hop rappers wearing? They was rocking the throwbacks, and that's what they did. They put the rapper gimmick on Cena.
Snapbacks, and yeah.
Yep. They put them in the throwbacks, and it worked. And I don't see how that wouldn't have worked in 2002. But Paul Heyman's in the wrestling bubble. That's the problem. He was looking at it from a wrestling standpoint.
The problem with being in the wrestling bubble, to be quite honest.
When you're in the television business, there is a problem with being in the wrestling bubble.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you need kind of both. You need people in the wrestling bubble to work on the wrestling angles, and then you need those entertainment people in the entertainment bubble to work on the entertainment angles.
And that's the problem. They don't really have that entertainment bubble today.
Yeah. What was the next match?
Next match, not yet. We go to the best segment of the night. Although, again, on a pay-per-view, there's not that many segments. But, yeah, this was phenomenal. They show a video package between the Dawn Marie, Al Wilson, Tori Wilson storyline. Yes. One of the most
There's only one thing that needs to be said about this angle. Hot lesbian action. Next.
That's not the only thing that needs to be said about this. What needs to be said about this is this is the most underrated storyline of late 2002, early 2003.
Yeah.
And so they showed a video package, and then we cut to Dawn Marie coming out. Was this? Dawn Marie comes out with Al Wilson. And so what happened I think either a couple weeks prior or maybe the SmackDown prior, we heard about that Dawn Marie has footage of her and Tori in the hotel room. She didn't show all the footage. She would end up saying, "You will see this footage this Sunday at Armageddon."
They can pay for it.
Yeah, they can pay for it.
But unlike Mandy Rose, they didn't get fired for making the fans pay for porn.
Well, there was no porn. That's the thing. Just what they did was not porn.
Yo. Are you sitting here telling me hot lesbian action isn't porn?
What you saw Tori Wilson and Don Marie doing in that hotel room was not porn. Did any of them get naked? Were they naked in that scene? No.
Wow.
You didn't see anything like that. But so anyway, you see the video, and then like halfway through it, they're sort of making out, but like halfway through it, Al Wilson's like, stop. They make Al Wilson the biggest heel of the night, and of course, yeah, he didn't want to see the video, and that was pretty much it. That was a great segment, and it was building up to what we would see the next month at the Royal Rumble, where it was Dawn versus Tori, but that had a lot more to go. Of course, Al Wilson would storyline wise pass away before leading up to that match, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff that, well, when we get to that show, whenever we do, we will definitely cover it.
Oh yeah, and he also it should be noted that he did pass away in real life recently.
He did, sadly, yeah.
Died on the day.
Ironically, yes, ironically died, passed away the day Tori was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and well, it's ironic for a couple of reasons. For one, that's his daughter, and two, he was a big part of her career for this angle. This was one of the best angles Tori Wilson was ever in.
Yep. R.I.P. to him.
Yes, no doubt. Rest in peace, Al Wilson.
Next match was
funny. This is hold on. This is funny. I'm reading 411 Mania's review, so I know which segments we're getting. Whoever to go in order, and whoever's writing this says, keeping up with the sexy theme, we get a quick shot of Shawn Michaels stretching. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so now we get to the next match. Batista makes his pay-per-view debut, and it doesn't go too great. He takes on Kane. Crowd has no interest. A perfect opponent for Batista's first pay-per-view, I should say. But the crowd really wasn't interested in it. I wasn't interested in this either.
Hey, let's take a little break here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to say what's up to someone.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, why is it not letting me join this fucking server?
Come in.
Yo. Smiling on Retro Bros podcast right now. Hey, what's good?
Hey, Shrug, what's
Hey,
up?
what's good, Frank?
Hey.
I'm about to get a job at this fucking restaurant. Maybe.
So you're looking for a job, yeah?
Yes, sir.
If you come with me, I'll just show you, what to do.
I appreciate those bars, Frank.
To be fair, you've come at the right
No
time.
doubt.
Party in like half an hour, maybe an hour.
We working on a new track too. We working on a new track. It's gonna jump.
Awesome.
It's gonna drop soon.
Oh, we need all hands on deck. So when I hire you, to get started, you come over here. You come to this thing, and you know about like third eye and all that.
No. You said what?
You feel.
All right, we're gonna have fun with
Yeah,
Frank
you do.
here. You guys ready for this one? Frank, you'll like this.
Hey, wash your hands.
Watch this, Frank. It's hilarious.
All right.
We're speaking very
Fucking CJ, dude.
All right, back to our channel. Yeah, that's the homie Shrug. He's a good person. He's a good dude.
Peace out, Shrug.
I took him out before he could say anything. I'll tell him. He said, "Peace out."
Yeah.
Next match. Speaking of sex,
Hold on.
Well, I can't hear you. Your mic. I still can't hear you. Hang on, folks. Technical difficulties. Hold on. Technical difficulties, folks. Hang on a minute. Folks, I apologize. Frank, say something.
Bro, I swear, StreamYard is getting annoying these past couple of weeks. They muted my mic out of nowhere again. Luckily, the last time that happened, we weren't on the air. But
Right.
you remember last week, after
Yeah.
shortly after we stopped, they freaking muted my mic. I didn't press nothing, and they muted me. And every time I tried to unmute it, it didn't work. So this time I just said, since we live, I'm just gonna leave the stream, come back. Thankfully, it worked.
Yeah.
So next segment, Kurt Angle is shown backstage looking for Brock Lesnar, and that was about it there. And then John Cena comes out to the dismay of the genius Paul Heyman. Oh boy, the rap. What was that?
They had a lot of time to kill here, didn't they? All these things in a row.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But yeah, these probably went by quick. Kurt Angle was just looking for Brock Lesnar. That probably was like 2 seconds. John Cena did a John Cena rap with B Squared. That only went on for about a minute. Really, the long segment there was Tori Wilson and Dawn Marie, and then that was also in between the last match.
Yeah.
So there was. It may seem like a long time of segments, but in reality, not really.
And speaking of sex appeal, our next match, Tista versus Kane.
We covered that.
Did we?
Well, at least I did. Maybe did you give your thoughts?
I don't remember us covering Batista versus Kane. I kept trying to go to it, and you were like, wait, we got a segment.
No, I covered Batista versus Kane, gave my thoughts, and then you were like, next match. And I said, wait, hold on. And then that's when the mic freaking muted.
Oh, my bad.
No, actually, I covered that, and then we went to Shrug, didn't we? Or something like that. It was either that or the.
We didn't do that match yet. We did Kane, or we did Sable, or no, we did Tori. See what I mean? I can't talk today. We did.
I definitely did Kane versus Batista. I said all that, and then you said next match.
Run the tape back when this is live. You'll see you didn't, but that's okay.
I know I just did. Maybe that's when my mic muted. So if it did, I'll just go over it again. I know I was sitting here talking about it, and then you said next match, and then I said, well, hold on, we got a segment, and then you was like, I can't hear you, your mic's muted, or you said I can't hear you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear your Batista Kane thing. What's your thoughts?
All right, so this was Batista's pay-per-view debut, and didn't go well. Didn't go too well. The crowd really didn't care. This is right there with Edge and A-Train as just a nothing match. I get it though. I get the choice. Kane, great first pay-per-view matchup for a guy like Batista, but just crowd was not interested. And I don't think the ropes were interested either. Not good rope work there by old Batista and Kane. You gotta work the ropes nowadays, man. It's 2022 here. Dave Meltzer says it's all about work rope, then it's all about work rope. You gotta make those ropes believe in your match or your segment. By the way, let me say Tori Wilson, Dawn Marie, which we went over Great
Hey.
that segment, phenomenal rope work by Dawn and Al. The ropes believed that what they were seeing, they believed that video package. Dawn and Al Wilson knew how to work the ropes, man. Just
Next
phenomenal.
match.
Next segment, well, we kind of did go over that segment. We went over this match. I still don't know if I was heard. Maybe it has to be that I wasn't heard. At least you didn't hear me.
Yeah, the
But
women's.
what were your thoughts though on Batista King?
I agree with you. It was kind of just there, kind of meh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. The next match was Victoria defeating Trish and Jacqueline in a triple threat match for the women's title. The ending came when Trish was going for a pin on Jacqueline, but Victoria took the women's championship belt and whacked Trish in the face.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Trish was just laying there slumped, and Victoria covered Jacqueline for the win. This was a pretty solid match. I mean, huge. You guys already know I'm a huge Trish fan, and I love her feud with Victoria and Jazz. And so you already know all that.
I am a fan of Trish too. She was a star long before anybody started to recognize her. Same thing with Mandy Rose. Both Trish Stratus and Mandy Rose were stars the moment they stepped on the screen. You know, it was oh, they weren't great wrestlers. They were terrible wrestlers. Blah, blah, blah.
When she first stepped on the scene, no, she wasn't, because she wasn't really known. Because remember, Mandy Rose didn't. What?
She became a star the moment, even if she wasn't known, she was a star the moment she stepped on TV.
On Tough Enough?
You wanna?
She was on
I'm talking about WWE, not Tough Enough. I'm talking about the in-ring programs. When she steps into the ring on an in-ring program, she's a star. On Tough Enough, nobody's a star.
She's not
because
a star.
Yeah.
She's not a WWE star no more. Now she's going to be a porn star.
I don't think she's going to be a porn star.
WWE recently released Mandy Rose posting nudes on her Army fans page, and the reason they released her was because they have a contract with Mattel, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, toy companies in the world, and they made action figures for her, and obviously action figures are marketed towards children, and so when she did the news.
It's more than just that too. She breached her contract. She's that's the problem.
Yeah, she breached her.
And people go over so many arguments as to, well, look what happened to Paige, and she didn't get fired. Paige got hacked. She was not going around on her OnlyFans or whatever the hell it's called, like, hey, look what I did. Go check that out on my, somebody hacked her page, or hacked her phone, I should say, and actually put that all out there.
Well, but I guess Mandy Rose's news got leaked too. So,
but still, she's putting it out there for everybody to see, and they're paying for it, and WWE's not getting a part of that, and that's the problem. When that's a big problem for them, and if that isn't, they're gonna fire her. But also, one of the dumbest things I saw on, I guess it was from a tweet, was like, oh, you got everything that's going on with Vince McMahon, and then you fire Mandy Rose for this?
Well,
Vince stepped down. Vince pretty much got fired too because of this.
Mandy, I'm not going to say Mandy Rose fans, but there are people on Twitter. So my man, shout out to Dwayne TV. He's the homie. He did a video on this last week, and I strongly suggest everybody go watch that because he gives his opinion. I'm going to see if I could find this, because there's a quote here I want to read from a Twitter person.
Okay.
So let me find this. Okay. Okay, so this fan said, are you ready for this one, Frank? And we're going to rip this to shreds. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to rip this comment to shreds. This comment comes from at 2K Cause on Twitter, and the cause is spelled CAWZ. Straight cis man who say Mandy deserves to be fired
Oh, I saw this. Yeah, I saw this.
have never touched a woman in their life and are the ones who defend, we'll say, weirdos and abusers in the industry. Hashtag rehire Mandy Rose. Hashtag justice for Mandy Rose.
Well, let me say this. The one thing I do agree with is I hope they do rehire Mandy Rose, and I think there's still a chance that happened. But the fact of the matter is she breached her contract, and that's why she was fired.
To her credit, she accepted her punishment like an
Yeah.
adult. She owned up to what she did, and she's like, I got what I deserve. Now,
And apparently she's still doing her thing on her page, which nobody can blame her. She's
Right.
making more money there than she was with WWE. Can't blame her. Good for her. Good for her.
Do you know? But the thing that gets me is when they say things like straight cis man. What the hell?
What the hell does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Like sister? I have a sis, you know? And then they have never touched a woman in their life. So you're saying that straight men can't have an opinion on this, so only gay men can say this. If you're gay, you can say this about Mandy, but if you're straight, you can't.
I guess so. I don't know. But anyway, I'm a big fan of Trish. Definitely a fan of Victoria. Jacqueline was great in the Attitude Era. Had that feud with Sable. Trish and Victoria look amazing, no doubt about it. The match itself, I wasn't that crazy about. It was a quick match, and just crowd really didn't have an interest in it. This wasn't really the best crowd, and they didn't really have an interest in this match.
To be fair,
it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as our last week's show. December to Dismember. That crowd was not into it at all. But
to be fair, this pay-per-view took place on December 15th, so 10 days before Christmas. So people were kind of, maybe their minds were doing other stuff. Getting
what?
Christmas.
So Wes says, "Wow." What was it? Something I said? He says "wow" to me, but doesn't elaborate on what did he say.
Hey, what do you mean by wow, Frank? Frank didn't say anything bad.
What did I say? What did I say? Did I say something bad here?
Yes, you said that you're a straight cis male, you bastard.
Oh boy. Oh, by the way, I don't know about the rope work. It seemed like the ropes really didn't care, so that's definitely. Hey, Mike,
good bud.
Let me since he came in, let me promote it. Mike is officially a sort of a new member of the Retro Bros. He will be exclusive to my channel. We're gonna hit up that WCW 2000, man. We're gonna go over the Nitros. We're gonna go over the Thunders. We're gonna go over the pay-per-views. What did I say I was gonna call it? The Positive Spin, right? That's gonna be the name of our podcast over on my channel.
Like that, Frank. Wow.
Yes.
Hey, man.
Yes. Over on, as you can see, my YouTube at Room with a View 1 on YouTube. We're gonna do the Positive Spin. We're gonna cover the Nitros and WCW in 2000. Now, Mike, I got a very important question for you. Have you gone through your rope work this week? You working on that rope work? You got to make the ropes believe in what you're doing, bro.
So only gay people can say something, but if straight people do it, they lose their minds. Care to explain a little show and tell?
Hold on. When did I say that? When did I say that?
Frank wasn't saying that. Frank didn't say that. Somebody else on Twitter said that. Frank did not say that. That was not Frank. My rope work is shit.
Mike, we're gonna have to cut you then, man. You gotta have those ropes believing in your work.
The person who said that was on Twitter. That was not Frank.
He got it. He says, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. No, Frank is good. He's not like that. He's
Yeah.
cool. If
Well,
he
I know
wasn't,
that about it. I would never say some dumb shit like that.
right.
But again, it's coming soon. I don't know when our first episode is going to be, but our first episode will be covering the
You
first Nitro.
also have another show coming with our fellow Retro Bros member,
Natasha. Okay.
Natasha.
Yep.
And we're going to be covering mid 90s stuff.
Oh yeah, we kind of started that already. We did one episode. We're going to be doing Survivor Series 92 at some point. You know, Nat's a very busy person, as am I. We've said we'll do it here, and we couldn't. We ended up we can't do it on that day. So at some point we will do that, and we will be covering the Raws from the new generation era in order. So we'll be doing that soon. But we haven't worked. I haven't worked out a date with Michael yet. We will be doing. Again, the positive spin. We're going to start off with the first Nitro of that year, 2000.
You guys going to do dinner and a movie first?
Hey, no.
No. By the way, talking about Nat, this weekend happens to be Christmas weekend, and normally we do our retro raw damn reviews on Saturdays. This Saturday is Christmas Eve, and I know she's probably going to be busy. I'm probably going to be busy, so no retro raw down this week. However, we do have a special treat for everybody, a little early Christmas present. This Friday, Natasha and I will be doing a live watch along of WWE SmackDown. So,
Okay.
there you go.
All right. So at the end of after the match, Victoria ends up stealing Trish's hat as she exits. That's building up to the Survivor Series hardcore match for the women's title.
No, this came after the hardcore match.
Oh no, you're right. I don't know what they did. Did they have a cage match on Raw at early 03?
No, that was her. That was Victoria and Lita. But Victoria and Trish did have a Chicago street fight on Raw.
Yes, that's what they did. So they were continuing the feud, just not for a pay-per-view.
And also, they did have
the triple threat at Mania. Yeah.
They had a triple threat hardcore match on an episode of Raw between these three women as well.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
And then we cut to Kurt and Brock backstage. And Kurt's trying to sell him on being ringside for the match. And then he shows a VHS of Paul Heyman turning on Brock at Survivor Series. I like that. Just reminding everybody why Kurt Angle is trying to recruit Brock Lesnar, because he understands, the guy who turned on you is waiting out there at ringside. You come get him.
Yeah.
And that's when we go to this match next. Is Big Show versus Kurt Angle, with, of course, Paul Heyman at Big Show's side in the ring. And this was not a bad match at all. It was a decent match. It wasn't great by any means, but it was decent. The one thing I like...
The matches you're going to get out of the Big Show.
What was that?
It was about as good a match that you're going to get out of the Big Show.
I think Big Show's had some good ones in his career.
Yeah.
But so what I loved about this match was the foreshadowing. A-Train comes out and attacks Kurt Angle, and Paul Heyman's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Which everybody's gonna be like, "Wait, why is Paul
disqualified?"
No. Was it a disqualification?
I don't think it was. No.
No. Big Show tapped out to the ankle lock.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
I'm saying here, this is foreshadowing. So everybody's going to be like, why is Paul Heyman upset that A-Train is trying to help Big Show here? Why? Well, we would find out after this show, though, on the SmackDown. Because the SmackDown opens up with Paul Heyman and Kurt Angle, I believe. And Kurt Angle says, "Well, I won this match because I had an insurance plan." And he's like, "Come out, Paul Heyman." And Paul Heyman comes out and announces, he's now on Kurt Angle's side. And that's when Team Angle, Haas and Benjamin debut. And that was the beginning of that. The only weird thing about this is So Paul Heyman essentially turned on the Big Show here by joining up, by costing him the title, joining up with Kurt Angle, but
Yeah.
yet they still was rolling. He still was rolling with Heyman because like the very next pay per view, Royal Rumble kicks off with Big Show versus Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman at Big Show's side. Kind of makes Big Show look a little bad here because he's still siding with the guy who just cost him the title. You know, just joined up with the guy who he was facing here. That was kind of weird, but I get it because you got to build to Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle,
Yeah.
and in doing that, I mean, who's Brock Lesnar's biggest foil, biggest enemy at this time? It's Paul Heyman.
Right.
So you add Paul Heyman to the mix.
And
You
Big
got
Show
a
was
nice.
still the heel. And Big Show was still the heel.
Oh, of course, he was, but now Kurt Angle's a heel as well. But again, it just makes Big Show look weird because like you're siding with the guy who just cost you. You're still siding with the guy who just cost you the title,
Yeah.
and that makes Big Show look a little weird.
Yeah.
But I get it. I get it in the sense that since you're building to Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, you want to put Paul Heyman in that because you know the big story for Brock Lesnar at this time was he wanted to get his hands on Paul Heyman. They would end up doing that right before WrestleMania, where Brock got in the cage with Heyman, and I think he F5'd him. But the problem, I think that the F5 came like after the show.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they did that. So like the actual moment of Brock finally getting his revenge on Paul Heyman essentially happened off camera. I don't understand that. Only for the live audience to see, and well, certain people who might have, you know, DVDs, blank DVDs of the SmackDowns in 03 that come with those post-match features, post-show features, I should say, have only been able to see that. But yeah, I don't understand that. But moving on. Main event time. This match of the night.
So before we get into the results, let's lay the stages for the 3 stages of hell. The first stage was a street fight. Second stage was a steel cage, and the third stage was a ladder match.
Okay. So we just go to the main event, then you say what the matches are, but we didn't even say who it is. It's Triple H.
Triple H versus Shawn Michaels for the World Championship. Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series, the world title in the Elimination Chamber, and they agreed to do a 3 stages of hell match here. It's basically 2 out of 3 falls, but each match is a specialty match. Like I said, first match was street fight, second steel cage, third a ladder.
Now, Dave Meltzer, again, I'm getting all this from because I did just so happen that Something to Wrestle With did this episode like about a week ago. So it was perfect timing for us because I ended up watching that. And Dave Meltzer, when he reviewed this match, said that both Triple H and Shawn Michaels were past their prime. Dave Meltzer, ladies and gentlemen. My gosh.
You know, it's funny. A guy who hasn't been in the wrestling business at all sits behind his computer, like what we do, behind his computer, and just types up bullshit. He just types up bullshit. That's what it is, right? Am I wrong, Frank?
No, you're right.
Okay.
I don't think he was necessarily trying to bash Triple H and Shawn Michaels, but $11.99 worth every penny, Dave. Why, Mike? Why would somebody pay for that when they can just go to the brand and get it for much less and actually hear from somebody who's been in the business, or actually a couple of people for that matter?
Hang on. It's funny that he does that. He's never been in the wrestling business in his life. And he's going to sit there behind his computer and shit on people, performers who give their bodies to this business. This guy doesn't give fuck all to the business. He only gives this business a bad name. Dave Meltzer, You give wrestling and you give wrestling fans a bad name with the bullshit that you write. And to sit here and say that in 2002, Triple H and Shawn Michaels are way past their prime, who the fuck are you to judge that? Dave, who are you to sit there and say somebody is past their prime? You know what? I could sit here in this chair right where I am right now. I could say that Dave Meltzer is past his prime. But you know what, Frank? The problem with me saying that, Frank, is that Dave never had a prime. Dave has always been nobody, and he will always be nobody, leeching off a business that wants nothing at all to do with him. So, you know what? Fuck you, Dave Meltzer.
And Mike is right. Mike says even if you're cheap, there's like 20 free podcasts with people who know more than Dave.
Frank, you and I probably know more than Dave.
Well, I'll give Dave credit that he's a lot more older than me, so he's been watching pro wrestling way more before me. And I'm only here to give my opinion. I'm not here to like say I know more than people. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not necessarily trying to say, oh, I know pro wrestling. You know, I've never been in the business. I'm just giving an opinion.
My 5-year-old nephew sat on this bed with me last night. We played WWE 2K22. That kid knows more about wrestling than Dave Meltzer. My crooked pinky knows more about wrestling than Dave Meltzer. Dave doesn't know anything about anything. He doesn't even know how to perform a coherent sentence. And everything he says contradicts everything he says. For example, they could be fired, but they probably won't be. But it's a possibility. What does that even mean? And why do people? I want to know if you are a subscriber of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. I want to know why do you give him your money? What makes his newsletter appealing to you? I'm not going to bash you. Do what you want. Do what you want. But why is his newsletter interest you? Let me know, please.
One of my biggest problems with Meltzer.
Hey, don't be so diplomatic. I wasn't diplomatic about my thoughts and feelings. You don't got to be either. Go for it.
I'm not trying, but I'm just one of my biggest problems is he. How do I say this? He's in love with the in-ring work, and he thinks that, all about that technical wrestling. And
he acts like he knows what he's talking about when people do the 450 into the 680 into the 930. He acts like he knows how to do those moves. He acts like he does those moves. He acts like he takes those moves. You know what he does? He takes dick up his ass from Brian Alvarez. That's what he takes.
Well, again, let me just try to make my point here. I feel like the in-ring work is all that matters. And, guys who are technical wrestlers or guys who are great flippers will get 5 stars, probably even 6-star ratings. And the sad thing is that he was able, and I guess you give him credit if he was able to do this, he's able to get fans to believe that, his opinions. It's all about this. And the whole damn internet is like, yeah, it's all about that. It's all about that technical wrestling. That match was a fucking 5-star classic. Hogan and Andre was freaking negative 20 stars. No. That's my problem with Meltzer. I don't really care about the dirt sheet shit, the fake dirt sheet stuff. I don't really give a damn about that, even if it was true. Because it's all behind the scenes stuff. I don't care about behind the scenes stuff.
I actually want to apologize to Brian Alvarez because I shouldn't have thrown him under the bus like that. But Dave is a young bucks Kenny Omega bitch boy. There we go. Here's my problem. He grew up at the territories where it was all character and promos, and now he thinks everybody loves Japanese wrestling. I'm gonna come off looking bad saying this, Frank. Get ready for a controversial take.
Go ahead.
Japanese stuff like the Japanese culture should stay in Japan. So the K-pop and the anime and all that crap should stay in Japan or Korea, because K-pop is Korean. Stay over there. And conversely, I think American culture should stay here in America. I don't get the love for anime. I don't get the love for K-pop. I don't get the love for Japanese culture. It doesn't make sense to me, especially when the anime stuff is all Japanese and you can't understand a single word they say. Oh well, if you don't follow this story, how can I follow a story if I can't understand what they're saying?
Nah, yeah. Well, I get in that aspect. If you can't understand it, how you gonna watch it? I totally get that. But the thing is, there are some people in the United States who know a bunch of different languages, which I'm not saying you have to, but that's why it's popular because some people understand the language, so they understand it more. Now
Well,
with
hey,
pro wrestling,
I understand a little bit of I understand some languages too. Matter of fact, I got some sign language. Here's to you, Dave.
with pro wrestling, all the fans today care about is big flip. So it's the same language, and no matter what you're speaking, because you're viewing it, and they're all doing these ridiculous flips. Which, again, that's not just a New Japan thing. It's not just an AEW thing. It's an all around pro wrestling thing.
True.
It's no longer about being a star. It's about doing these cool moves. AJ Styles, Finn Balor,
Damian Priest.
you go on. Damian Priest got a good gimmick. I'll say that about him.
Dexter Loomis.
Yeah, him too. But yeah, most of today's guys, it's all about just work rate, and apparently now rope work.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
anyway, we need to get back to the match here.
yeah.
Um,
So
I think this match is underrated. I think it was a great match. Now I get on something to wrestle with. They said maybe I think it was Conrad said maybe we should have started with a single match here. We went with all special matches, which I get that. Maybe start out with a single match, like you were talking about earlier. You want to start slow, and
Right.
that's something you want to do here. So you start slow with a single match. But yeah, it didn't hurt the match to me. I think this was a very underrated match. Match of the night, no doubt, in my opinion.
yeah.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
I thought this matchup was fantastic. And I guess we
Yeah.
should say who won each fall. So Triple H won the street fight, Shawn Michaels won the cage match, and Triple H won the ladder match.
Better match, yes.
That was
And Triple H did all that in a street fight. Excuse me, a 3 stages of hell match that went on for like what 40 minutes, maybe. He did all that on a bad leg.
yeah. See, Dave, that deserves 5 stars.
I I got no problem with you saying that because I think the match was great. I personally think it was
No, I mean just
just below.
performing on an injured leg. That's 5
Oh yeah,
stars.
yeah. Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Cody Rhodes too earlier in the year with the
God, dude.
gosh, yeah.
That
Mm.
guy. Look, if that's not
Yeah.
match of the year, that's a match of the year candidate. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
That
And
is-
we covered that show. That was the one. That's the one current product show that I've covered on this channel. Unless did I do 2 pay-per-views? I can't even remember now. Oh, I think I did 2 pay-per-views. I did Money in the Bank too. I did the very next
I
month.
think so, yeah.
Yeah. So overall views on this
This
out of
show
10.
it had its ups and downs. The ups were high ups; they were great, but the downs were, yeah. I think they were still trying to find their footing of where to place everybody. But
Well, mhm.
I was just going to say that was Armageddon 2002, right?
Now hold on. You're gonna give a out of 10 rating because I gotta give mine.
I'd probably say a 6, solid 6 out of 10.
Okay, so we're on the same page. I would say it's a 6.5 out of 10. Like I said earlier, this is tied with No Way Out 02 for my least favorite show of the year, least favorite pay-per-view of the year. 2002 is one of my favorite years, but those 2 shows were just okay. The highlights for this show, the 3 stages of hell, Tori Wilson, Dawn Marie, and then Booker T and Goldust finally winning the world tag titles.
I agree with those. Those were really high highlights.
Yeah.
They were highlights. Yes, they were the best parts of the show for sure. Hey, I want to thank everybody for spending some time with us
Now,
today.
hold on. Before we leave, we got to promote next week's show, which is your pick, and then I got my pick right after that.
What did I say we were doing last week? I don't remember.
We said we were, and this might not be next week. This might be this week because we're gonna try to do a couple of shows.
Yeah.
But what you said was New Year's resolution 2005, which I cannot wait to review because I saw that live, and it's similar to One Night Stand. I'm not One Night Stand. December Dismember, where the card
Was a one
not
match.
that great.
You
Yeah,
know what?
it was. I'd say 2 matches on this show.
I'm actually gonna push that show back until like January. But
Okay.
the show we're gonna review, we're going back to 1998.
Oh, I love it.
WCW Slamboree 1998.
Okay, first WCW pay-per-view. Let's do it. Okay, now for my choice.
I used to have this VHS. I used to have the VHS of this pay-per-view. So
I might have it. I'd have to check. I'm missing about 5 98 WCW pay-per-views. I'm not sure if Slamboree is one. But what's I gonna say? Oh yeah, next show for me after Slamboree 98 it was the second ever pay-per-view I actually ever saw, and it's again, you put me in that when we reviewed the ECW December Dismember, you put me in the looking at shows that either the cards really look that bad or people think it looked bad. And I want to review second pay-per-view I ever saw live on pay-per-view, Great American Bash 2004. People look at this card. People look at this card and say it was bad. Compare this card to freaking December to.
Are we doing both shows?
What happened?
Are we going to do both shows this week? Is that the plan?
Hopefully, yeah. We can do Slamboree and Great American Bash. Now, people say this show had a bad card because, SmackDown No 4 was lacking talent. No doubt, lacking star power, I should say. Lacking star power. But I get it. But now, you got a guy like John Cena who is getting there. He's not there yet, but he's getting there. You got a guy like Eddie Guerrero who takes on JBL in the bull rope match. JBL was the best heel in the business at the time, although Triple H was right there with him.
No, this isn't that match that had the chair shot.
This is the match that had the receipt.
Gotcha.
Yes, the receipt. Eddie Guerrero got a little payback for that. That was Judgment Day 04. So Eddie Guerrero and JBL were doing their thing at the time. One of the best feuds of the year in 04.
True.
Chavo Guerrero and Rey Mysterio on the undercard doing their cruiserweight thing. They had some good matches, and there was one on this show. John Cena, like I said, he was getting there, and he had a fatal four-way for the U.S. title that opened the show. And then you got a main event with one of the more popular tag teams at the time, the Dudley Boys, and of all time for that matter, taking on Undertaker. Handicap match. And I get people look at a handicap match like that's the main event of the pay-per-view, but they put a great storyline behind it and made it interesting.
Oh, I remember that. I think I remember that too. With
Concrete Crypt. Yep, the thing with that's how they wrote Paul Bearer off TV.
That
was tremendous. Now there were. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. There was some matches on this pay-per-view that are like, why is this on this pay-per-view? But in terms of the card was not bad at all. No. Like there's just filter on it. Like there's filter on almost every pay-per-view. There's filter on this show. A-Train and Edge, Batista and Batista, rookie Batista versus Kane. That's filter in my opinion. They didn't give that big storylines. Although again, this chair with A-Train hitting Edge in the leg with chair. I should mention they did have the payback for Edge. Edge actually hit A-Train in the head with the chair, and that's why he got disqualified. Should have mentioned that. I forgot. I'm looking at the back of the DVD right now, and they actually show that picture on the back. But this card. Let's see. Charlie Haas versus Reigns, Luther Reigns. That was a throw-in.
Yeah.
And then Mordecai. I think this was his pay-per-view debut. He took on. Oh no, he debuted at Judgment Day. So he took on Scotty Hottie, I think, on this show, or Billy Gunn. It might have been Billy Gunn. That's filler. Ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You get another Sable Tori Wilson match, two of the biggest female stars at the time. You gonna complain about that? That's not filler. It got a storyline too, and those are two of the biggest stars, female stars in the company at the time. That's not filler.
No, because it's a filler. No,
See, that's another reason why people probably think this is a bad card, because they look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, why is this on the pay-per-view?" Because Tori Wilson and Sable were two of the biggest stars in the company at the time.
okay.
Definitely female-wise, but even up there, they were. Look who's on the freaking cover. Hold on. Look who's on the cover of the pay-per-view. Let me pull this out right here. Who's that?
Is that Victoria?
No, that's Tori Wilson.
Yeah, I'm
That's
just,
Tori Wilson. That's one of the biggest stars in the company.
Frank, I'm screwing with you.
I know.
Relax.
But yeah, this. Oh, actually, okay. Hardcore Holly took on Mordecai. Billy Gunn took on Kenzo Suzuki. This was Kenzo Suzuki's pay-per-view debut. So in the middle of the card, you got a lot of filler, like Charlie Haas, Luther Reigns, Hardcore Holly, Mordecai, Billy Gunn, Kenzo Suzuki. But this card still has a lot of interesting stuff. Way more interesting stuff. Tori and Sable had a Playboy out the other year. Yeah, they were over huge in 04. Ain't no doubt about it. Mike's right. Yeah, and that Playboy, I don't have that Playboy, but I mean, you can look up the pictures.
Oh, sure.
You know, they looked amazing in that.
Pictures are all over the internet by now.
Yeah, but no doubt.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of the Retro Bros. I want to thank you all for hanging out with us today. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we upload new content. We upload new content weekly. Nat and I will be back later this week to do the SmackDown watch along. Frank and I will be back at some point this week to review WCW Slam 1998, and hopefully later on in the week we will also do.
Yeah, hopefully both shows, Great American Bash Show 4, and maybe if we have time, if we can throw in a fourth show for the week. I don't know if we will. If you said you want to move back New Year's resolution. If you want to move it back to be the show after Great American Bash Show 4,
that'll
be our show after. So if we can do it this week, we will. If not, it'll be next week.
True.
But no doubt it'll be after Great American Bash Show 4.
I'm Frank.
No,
I'm CJ. He's Frank.